over the past 3 to 4 weeks, there's been a lot of allegations that have been made against Zak Bagans, and I have to say, before we get into the video, they are just that at the time of recording, right? They are just allegations, so don't sue me, anybody, right? But there's a lot of comments on a lot of the videos, right, with people kind of talking about why isn't this more mainstream? Obviously, these allegations are incredibly serious, with, you know, people coming out and talking about how Zak has been, you know, we all know about him cheating on Holly Madison. Is it right? No. But, you know, that's typical celebrity drama stuff. But the bigger allegations that are being pointed to Zak are the ones that are unverifiable at the time of recording, like I say. And they kind of cite more serious allegations, like the people that he allegedly cheated with. He, quote, allegedly secretly recorded, and one of which was allegedly a minor at the time of Zak asking for, you know, nude images from this person, whilst being well aware that this person was only 15 at the time, and even going as far as to allegedly fly them out to Vegas so that, you know, he can see them. Now, again, allegedly. Everything has to be allegedly right now, because there's like, I got the feeling that there's lawsuits are brewing, and I'm not about to get caught up in this shit. But a lot of people in the comment section of these videos are like, why won't outlets cover this? Like, why is it that it's down to the people to come out? Why can't they, like, you know, go to the press, for example, like TMZ? Zak Bagans cannot take a shit without TMZ covering it, right? They cover absolutely everything with this guy. They love it. And, you know, it's, you know, ultimately free publicity for him, for Zak, and for Ghost Adventures and all the shows that he does and all the rest of it, right? If you literally just search Zak Bagans, type up the news, the top outlets are TMZ, E-Online, People, all of these places that are basically the same entity, right? They are all covering it. Now, the latest things that they obviously covered was the Holly Madison insinuating that Zak Bagans cheated on her in wild social media posts. But obviously there's been a lot more information that's come out off the back of that, and since then, that, you know, would, point to some more serious stuff going on, allegedly. Now, obviously, right now, there's a lot that I think people... There's a lot to it. There's a lot more to it than just going, oh, this is the case. Now, for someone like me, I like to give people that voice, right? Because it's got to be scary, right? Being someone who's trying to speak up against someone who ultimately is a 10-ton, like, you know, juggernaut in this field. It is the, you know, 100 people versus one gorilla, in the sense that, you know, Zak Bagans has an endless amount of wealth. Right, he's a very rich man, so he can, you know, prolong legal battles, financially drain people if necessary. You know, it's going to be hard to kind of point the finger at someone like Zak and make these kind of allegations and provide the proof and stuff. Now, yes, videos have come out with proof, you know, like they will be dropping proof and all the rest of it. And I know that even people like Nick Groff and Tessa Groff have commented on some people's stuff saying, you know, this is true. Here's like, this is what we kind of know, right? And obviously it's a very serious grey area, but there is a lot of reasons, and this isn't me siding with the news outlets, but there's a lot of reasons as to why these news outlets probably won't touch this story until a drop of evidence actually comes out, all right? And I just want to clear this up for a lot of people, and this isn't me defending Zak in any way either. This isn't me saying that people that have come out to speak against him are lying about it, because I, you know, regardless of my opinions on it, I don't necessarily believe that they are, but they deserve to have the platform to speak, right? They deserve to be able to share what they have experienced, all right, without this, you know, the judgment online or being silenced by someone who is a lot more, you know, financially powerful than them, right? So let's kind of talk about this. So obviously TMZ have covered the cheating allegations from Holly Madison, but let's not forget Holly Madison as well is also a 10-ton juggernaut in her own right. She's got the financial ability and the publicity and the following to go toe-to-toe with someone like Zak Bagans, right? She can withstand that kind of legal storm should Zak want to kind of throw around defamation cases or whatever. But right now, The allegations involving the underage girls and the secret recordings, obviously, they haven't been reported by the mainstream media. And it all comes down to one very simple thing. The distinct lack of any, I want to use this term lightly, credible evidence, okay? And ultimately, that's what these people rely on. It's incredibly difficult to report on this kind of stuff without the evidence. Obviously, it's easy from my position because I can just sit here and say, well, this is what they've allegedly said. Here's the proof of what they've said. Here's what Zak said. You know, well, not Zak because he's obviously not spoken up about all of this, but you know, I think the silence is deafening. If it were me and I was being accused of this stuff, you best believe I would be putting out tweets, videos, you know, Instagram stories, debunking all of this shit as quickly as it comes out. Like, the second that shit comes out and hits my radar, bang, I'm on it. Like a rash. Right, but, you know, obviously with these larger outlets, I mean, TMZ haven't exactly got credible, you know, credibility, but at the same time they have to be very, very careful. Now, in the provided sources or broader public reports from reputable outlets like TMZ, Yahoo, Daily Mail or E! Online, to substantiate claims of Zak Bagans being involved in underage girls or making secret recordings of women during sex, these specific allegations seem to stem from unverified sources, rumours or potential... I hate the way that this has to be said, but unfortunately, misinformation circulating online, possibly on platforms like X or other social media. But obviously, this is why these larger outlets won't touch it right now, because there is no evidence to back up the claims. Now, does that necessarily mean that these people are lying? No. Does it mean they're telling the truth? Also, possibly not. But at the same time, this is where it gets really difficult and in a really grey area because, you know, yes, like, huge claims have to come with huge amounts of evidence, okay? And obviously, when I recorded the interview with Fantomette, who was, you know, in my opinion, incredibly brave to kind of speak out in the way that she did, she said... she believes that was the case. She hasn't, you know, she has to say that obviously as well to avoid getting sued. But at the same time, there was obviously the girl who was allegedly underage when Zak was asking for pictures and stuff like this. She claimed to have evidence that were with lawyers at the time. Now, whether that is the case, obviously, that's obviously by the by. But without that evidence being public information, you know, these people won't touch it. So, you know, I hate the way that it has to be worded for this, because I don't want it to come across like I'm shitting on these people's experiences, because I'm truly not. Like, this could have actually genuinely happened. Zak could be the biggest knobhead on the planet, right, who could have been caught up with underage girls and could have potentially been secretly recording, you know, intimate moments without consent, right? Which is very, very serious. But again, with some serious allegations needs to come some serious evidence, and that's the stance that these, you know, reporting outlets will take. So because of the lack of verifiable evidence, the legal and ethical concerns, you know, their focus on only confirmed stories and rumours versus fact, these people won't touch this evidence or touch these stories, right? So let's talk about the legal and ethical concerns. So allegations involving underage individuals or non-consensual recordings are extremely serious and carry significant legal implications. Reputable outlets are cautious about publishing unverified claims, especially if they could be considered libelous or inflammatory without proof. But at the same time, you know, it's a difficult one, because they could go down the route that I did, where it's alleged, right? This is what this person said, this is what this person said, here's the proof of them saying that. And it gets the story out there. Because if it is true, imagine having someone like TMZ reporting on your story, going against the grain, so to speak, right? That would be incredibly empowering for someone who is probably already quite intimidated to go up against someone like Zak Bagans, okay? Now, it is a tricky grey area. And obviously the rumour versus fact whole thing with, you know, social media rumours, they prioritise stories with concrete details, but at the same time, obviously, it comes into question with, why cover the Holly Madison stuff then? Like, why? Because obviously, you know, Holly Madison posted to her Instagram story saying that she's got the proof, allegedly, of, you know, upwards of 10 women coming forwards who Zach cheated on at the time of them dating. That didn't come with substantiated proof, per se. But they chose to cover that. But when these allegations come out, they choose to not go near it. It's a bit of a weird one where it's like pick and choose. They're picking and choosing, cherry picking the information that they want. But again, let's not forget that Zak Bagans and TMZ have got clearly a very close relationship, right? Like, Zach literally can't take a shit without TMZ being like, this was the colour, this was the size, this was the consistency of Zach's shit today. Genuinely, like, they just cover everything and anything. But they won't touch this, which is really odd, in my opinion. And obviously, it is a difficult one because I don't know I hope I've cleared this up for some people, but I'm talking and I'm getting a lot more questions than I am answers, even to my own, you know, responses. And I'm starting to wonder, well, why did they cover the Holly Madison stuff without verifiable proof, but yet refuse to touch this when this has allegedly no verifiable proof? Which, no, at the time of recording it doesn't, but it's still, it fits into the category of allegations. Doesn't it? Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Maybe it's just far less legally troubling to say Zach allegedly cheated with upwards of 10 women than it is to say some of these women may have been secretly recorded and may have even been underage. I don't know. But at the same time, should that go to the detriment of the people that are being brave enough to speak out? I don't know. I've started this question kind of hoping to answer some questions, and I'm leaving it with a lot more questions than I am answers, and probably answers that I'll never get, unfortunately. But I hope this makes a little bit of sense on the grey areas of why these news outlets won't touch it. But, you know, as things come to me and as I vet it and, you know, prove that this can be... I've had a lot of people come to me, let's put it this way, right? Some of which is, you know, that there's substance to it, but people want to remain anonymous, so it's a very difficult area. Some people have come to me with stories, and I'm not going to shit on anyone's story because it could be true, but they've lacked the distinct evidence to be able to back up the story, which means I'm not going to either go for it, because at the same time, I'm not about to start spreading rumours, but I will do it if there is... I guess I'm just as bad. I'm talking and I'm like, yeah, clearly I'm just as bad as TMZ now. But, you know, let's have a discussion down in the comments. What do you think of this? Is this a very legally grey area? Do you think that these outlets should be doing more? Or do you think that what they're doing is right and they should just kind of steer clear? Let me know what you think. Let me know down in the comments below. While you're down there, jump to get the hell out of that like button and subscribe. And until next time, I'll speak to you later. Peace.